You know?
Exactly.
Bang it out, right? Just ask the hardest questions you have.
Yeah.
Is this out of the frame?
I used to live in France for 6 months. I had a scholarship here. And I know that they are very close to the banks. Basically, banks are an extension of the state. And there's nothing that you can do without a bank account. So I guess...
And there's only 5 French banks.
Exactly. So when
there's not a single German bank or British bank or Italian bank in France. This is after 20 years of European Union.
During your presentation, they didn't allow you to speak. So you got a round of applause from the audience because you challenged the bankers. But then they switched the speaker and they didn't allow you to finish your argument. So I guess this is a great way for you to say why it's important to not turn crypto or the blockchain into just an extension of the bankers, and why JP Morgan, when they developed their token, you said they just forked Ethereum.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's all it did. They took a copy of it, they made little changes, they called it a quorum, and now they're selling it to everybody like it's their Leonardo da Vinci masterpiece, you know? Yes.
Vlad, get your voice recorder out.
No, I guess the acoustics are great here, so the recording is going to be okay. We don't have any.
Should we switch to Hebrew or no?
Probably not. International audience.
Yeah. So look, so the meeting I just had here, right? This was all French regulators and French lawyers and bankers and so on. And the reason I'm excited about what's happening in France, and believe me, it's hard for me to even say that because excited and friends usually don't go in the same sentence when it comes to banking or to internet innovation or blockchain innovation.
You're conservative in this regard.
But I think this time it's different, you know, and the reason it's different is because the financial structure, the financial community is so bad, meaning the banks are squeezing so much out of the economy that even the French government is now realizing that the only way to create economic activity and growth in the French economy is to shake this stuff up. Mm-hmm. So we want to focus on the one thing that banks do very, very badly, which is not paying any interest for deposits. If we can attack the banks just in that one area, then we can create tremendous amount of activity, economic activity in France. Now the regulator just said, look, the regulator said, you come to me with a great project that has real utility, that acts in the best interest of the community, that is not a scam, not some technical thing that maybe will happen 10 years from now, and we will approve it. We will let you go to market and basically market this to our community with the stamp of approval from the AMF.
How did that go?
So the rules are already in place. 2 days ago, the parliament here passed their law. It's actually signed. And now you need to come to the AMF and show them a good project. You have to show them something that they will look at and say, okay, this is really maybe good for the French people. So today there's a conflict between what's good for the banks and what's good for the French people. Because if you want to take interest and pay it to the depositor, you have to take it from the bank and give it to the French people. So the regulator is sitting in the middle and says, okay, my job is to protect the bank, but I'm a socialist country. France is a socialist country. I'm supposed to protect the consumer.
Exactly.
I'm supposed to have a net under the consumer, and right now the banks are stealing all the money from the consumers.
But I saw the same kind of hypocrisy also in Sweden. They pretend to be socialists, but at the same time they are corporate. So it's a corporate flavor.
Because the banks have so much influence. But I think the regulators now are realizing that the economic activity of the entire country is more important than the profits of the banks. And the banks are healthy enough to not have to keep changing their diapers when every time you try to do something, they cry, ah, and you have to go and fix it, right? Every time you try to do something like, no, don't take my money, because they got used to easy profit. So there's no other way to do this. You have to take the profit from the banks and you have to give it back to the depositor.
Exactly.
And that's what Celsius is trying to do, right? So this is the fight of my life. This is not like a little skirmish. This is war. This is going to war with the French banks. Okay? Do you know anyone else who's willing to go to war with the French banks?
Not really.
Not really.
The yellow vests, maybe?
Yes, the yellow vests are not going to get any results because they're not changing the system. They're just making noise. Making noise is not going to change it. We are going with a shot. It's not a shotgun. Oh, let's make some noise. This is a sniper rifle, just going straight for the most painful part of the bank, because that's where they make all the money. Is not paying anything for the depositor. They get the money for free, and then they take risk. They can do whatever they want. If they get in trouble, the regulators bail them out, and if they don't get in trouble, they pay themselves giant bonuses. It's a win-win, right? That cannot continue. So if we can do this right, and we can convince the users that we're acting in their best interest, and they stop depositing money, euros, with the banks, they start depositing them with someone who is paying them 7%, all these banks can pay 7% and still be profitable. Right. All of them. So that's all we're going to do. And I think the regulators can use us as the force that will force the banks to act appropriately. Like they did 30 years ago. They used to pay you that interest 30 years ago. They just stopped.
Now it's 1% or something, which doesn't even cover the inflation rate.
Exactly.
And that's a big issue.
So the question for us, for Celsius, is where do we launch this? Do we launch it in France? Do we launch it in Singapore? Do we launch it in New York? Right? Where do we pick the fight? Right? Like Napoleon said, right? Picking the location is more important.
Did you pick France as a target?
I am picking Paris with the new law as our first skirmish. Yes, first fight, real fight with the French bank.
Impressive and bold.
Yes.
You're going
straight
into a fist fight with the banks.
Yeah, it's more like a machine gun, but yes, they have a machine gun. I have a sniper rifle. I can only shoot one time. That's it. If I fail, they definitely gonna get me, because they're going to try to get me on the regulation. They're going to try to get me on licenses. They're going to try to get me on the fact that I'm not French. You name it, right?
But do you have any customers in France, as far as you know?
Yes, we do, yes.
And is it different as opposed to... So let's assume that you would be established as a French company and you would open headquarters in France.
Yes.
How would that be better for your French customers?
Well, the question is, how many French people or German people want to earn higher interest? That is that enough of a pain point? And can we create enough trust for people to stop depositing with the bank and start depositing with Celsius? Because until now, most of the Celsius customers have been crypto holders that deposit crypto. This will be different. This will be Euro holders who choose to deposit in stable coin. They don't buy Bitcoin or Ethereum.
So it's not speculation.
It's zero speculation. This is just about interest income, right? This is about, I'm earning 1% here. I can buy a product like a stable coin and earn 7% on the other side. Which one I'm going to go for? And this company here, the Celsius, has negative leverage. It has more deposit than loans. And this bank has 10-to-1 leverage, or 50-to-1 leverage in Deutsche Bank's case, right? So that's what we have to educate people. Which one do you think is safer? You know, now one is government regulated and everything else, and one is not regulated. We're not going to be a bank. We're not going to be government regulated.
Exactly.
But we're going to have full transparency. We're going to have a blockchain that shows everybody all of the deposits, all of the loans made, all of the interest income, all the distribution. So everybody can audit us 365 days a week, 24 hours a day. Anyone, including people who are not Celsius customers. Because anyone can see the blockchain, anyone can write the report and show people why we're not doing what we promised. So if we move even a little bit from what we promised, we can be caught 5 seconds later. Try to catch a bank. In 2008, few months before the big collapse, all of the audit companies, PwC, Ernst & Young, Deloitte, all issued great reviews of the banks. They said all the banks are great. And then they failed just a few months later because they do it once a year. They do the audit once a year. So the audit is meaningless. By the time the audit is out, it already means nothing. Because the risk the banks are taking, if there is a volatility, becomes so great, right? It goes like Lehman Brothers lost $600 billion of market cap in just a few months. It went from being worth $600 billion to zero, just in a few months in 2008. That's how fast, because of the leverage. They will leverage 50-to-1.
So
right?
What are these stable coins that work with Celsius? And which ones do you think are the best choices? Do you have also Tether? Because I know there's a lot of criticism.
We do not include Tether.
Okay.
We think Tether announced that they are fractional reserve, meaning they don't have enough dollars to cover all of the things. So we don't work with any company like that. We work with DAI. DAI have more reserves than DAI, right? Because they only give 66% LTV. So by definition, they have more reserves than DAI issued out there. We work with TUSD, GUSD, USDC, right? Those are, and PAX. So those are 4 stable coins plus DAI. DAI is not a stable coin. That's a smart contract, and it's not a stable coin. You know, so it's 4 stable coin plus DAI. We accept those. And we may add others in the future, but we pay the same rate on the stable coins. It's 7.1%. We lend at 9%. We pay 80% back to the depositor. 80% of the 9% we charge is 7.1%. It's that simple.
So you are basically enabling French people, or you're trying to get regulated to provide to them a way to earn interest in their euro. But do you think this is also a great gateway drug to get them into Bitcoin and...
No, I don't think you need that. I don't think, like, my mission is not to bring everybody to Bitcoin. That is not our mission. I mean, Celsius is not trying to sell you Bitcoin.
Well, obviously, but it's on the platform, so they can...
It's on the platform for people who already own Bitcoin. It's not on you cannot buy Bitcoin from Celsius. You cannot buy Ethereum from Celsius. You cannot buy stablecoin from Celsius. We don't sell them. We just generate yield, right? So you have to buy them from the issuer. USDC is issued by Circle, which is backed by Goldman Sachs, and you have to decide, do I trust Goldman Sachs? So when I bring back my USDC from Celsius, I take it out, I bring it back to USDC, I'm going to get my euros back, or I'm going to get my dollars back. We don't provide that guarantee. USDC provides that guarantee, that they have one-to-one assets and they're showing their audits and everything else. What we provide is a guarantee that when we lend out, we get collateral, we charge interest, and when we get that in, we will distribute it, as I described before, back to the depositor. That is the piece that no one else does, right? So Nexo doesn't do that, and BlockFi doesn't do that, and Sol doesn't do. None of those companies take the interest and give it back to the depositors. They have to give the interest back to their investors or shareholders.
So,
just like the banks.
One final question. I know that you had 2 debates with Nouriel Roubini.
Yes.
And what do you think he would say if you pitched to him the stable coins?
So Nouriel is refusing to do any more debates because now that the coins are going up, Bitcoin and everything is going up, he doesn't have good arguments. As long as the coins were going down, he had great argument. This is a scam. Okay. This is a whatever. Now he's like, okay, I don't take any more debates. I don't do debates. Of course you do debates. So Nouriel, if you're watching, let's do a debate. Come on.
Yeah, I guess you and Vitalik and other people who interacted with him acted as educators for him. He actually found out more, and you follow him through the years. In 2017, he knew nothing, and he called it a...
He still knows nothing. He does not own a single Bitcoin. I said to him in my Milken Institute debate, I said to him, Nouriel, buy one coin and then tell us how it works, because you are talking about it like you're the world expert, but you've never interacted with a Bitcoin. So I'm inviting Nouriel to buy. Maybe you have to explain to him that you don't have to buy a full Bitcoin, you can only buy a fraction, so you can spend $10, or let's send them through CellPay. We can send them some Bitcoin through our free service, because you don't need an account for that. You can just send it to his email or SMS, or his rotary phone. I think he's using a rotary phone. But look, to be serious, Nouriel is a Keynesian economist. He believes only in inflationary systems in which we use a monetary supply to create inflation and devalue the currency as part of economic growth. I think both of us are Austrian deflationary theory guys, right? We believe that more demand on a set number of supply creates deflationary pressure, which makes people earn return versus being diluted. So that's not how our Western world operates, right? Today, the economies, the Western economies are driving you to put your money into real estate or build a business or anything. You have to put your money into active assets to generate return or GDP, and that's the only way to grow an economy. But that is not the only way to grow an economy. There are other systems, and I think we exhausted that system. You look at the United States, where again 90% of the population owns the same amount of assets as 1% of the population. That is a recipe for disaster. That is a recipe for explosion, right? For a social explosion where the masses, like here in France, did during the Bastille, and we're in France, so we have to use French analogies.
Exactly, and also I saw that the U.S. stock exchange owns much more than 50% of the capital of the world.
Yes.
So if they collapse, they bring down the entire world.
Economy. There's no scenario where they collapse. Everybody will have to bail them out because they control everything very, very tightly. So we are fighting over, again, centralization versus decentralization. Everything you described is that centralized pyramid where everybody, the 1% on the top, is holding everybody hostage. And the decentralized world has an opportunity to build a new system that is based on, again, these deflationary, demand-based systems in which basically the people that hold the assets benefit, and it's distributed much more equally based on your contribution to society, not based on your ability to extract earnings, which is what DCF, discounted cash flow, that's the entire New York Stock Exchange model.
I agree. So thank you very much for this. I know you're busy and you're having your assistant tell you to go.
Now they're booking me every 15 minutes. Used to be every 30 minutes. Now I'm down to 15 minutes. Great job. And yes, let's keep the conversation and let's bring more people into crypto.
Always.
Take care.
That's why I'm here.